Have you ever been the new student in a class? Have you ever been the new kid at school? Ever had to move to another state and adjust to a new home? Have you ever been in any situation that forced you to adjust to sudden change? Well, imagine that on a larger scale. Could you picture yourself moving to a country you've heard so much about? One that is a magical place where everyone pictures streets of gold and unspoken opportunity, where success has no limit. Good morning, my name is Janelle Bazil. As the 21st century continues to progress here in the United States, new opportunities for better life continue to grow, leading to the immigration of people from other countries. The amount of recently immigrated students in the state of Florida is more prominent than any time before. Now, one may ask themselves, what does this mean for the learning gap that exists between English language learning students and American natives? According to the Center for Applied Linguistics, it is well known that English language learners are the fastest growing segment of the pre-K through 12 student population. English language learners, also known as ELLs, are typically part of a group of students who have recently immigrated to the United States and are beginning to learn English as their second language. Additionally, from 2008 to 2009, the Center for Applied Linguistics revealed that 5.3 million students, 11%, out of a total enrollment of 49.5 million students, were identified as English language learners, making this group a clear minority. While a plethora of racial and ethnic groups have been attending American schools almost since its beginning, it was not until the Supreme Court decision of Lau versus Nicholas in 1974 that the federal court demanded that some form of English language learning instruction be provided for ELL students. The court unanimously decided that the lack of supplemental language instruction in public school for students with limited English proficiency violated the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The court held that school districts were demanded to provide students with appropriate relief. Within the last decade, the amount of recently immigrated students attending schools within Florida is greater than any time before. Research done by James Sakulowski from the Central Journal revealed that the main reason for this original flow was the rapid expansion of the Orlando area after the establishment of Disney World and other tourist attractions. Immigrants began to settle here in Orlando looking for job opportunities and a higher quality of life. Despite hopes for these opportunities, it has been proven that children who come from other countries to the United States with their families feel as if their personal opportunities are not being fulfilled within the school system. These students who then attend American schools feel as if there is, one, a lack of sufficient attention, and two, a lack of personalized learning material, which leads them to feel socially ostracized. An additional study conducted by James Sakulowski of 10 Puerto Rican students who dropped out of Central Florida high schools revealed that the student interviewed felt discouraged by their watered-down ESL curriculum and the absence of support from institutional actors, such as teachers, administrators, and counselors. In order to solve this epidemic, educators within the state have begun to effectively accommodate not only the academic needs of this group of students, but also their social needs. In 2015, Lisette Alvarez from the New York Times conducted an interview with Dalia Medina, the director of Osceola County Schools here in Florida. During the interview, the two discussed the rapid increase in recently immigrated students who attend schools within the Osceola County District. Director Dalia Medina stated, "In the last year, the Osceola School District registered more than 1,000 new students, many from Spanish-speaking countries. For this reason, we have been working to find bilingual teachers and expand foreign language programs readily available to our students. These implementations have the intention to increase the social connection these students feel with their teachers, in hopes that this group of students will feel comfortable when communicating with their instructor and feel a sense of comfort in the classroom due to the presence of diverse spoken languages." Now, one may ask themselves, what does this mean for the future academic success of recently immigrated students? According to the Miami Herald, immigrant students in fact have trouble adapting to the American education system. This issue is evident in the amount of students who underperform on state exams, which ultimately takes a toll on district test scores. For this reason, in 2015, the Speech Language Association revealed, high school immigrant students in Florida now have 2 years instead of 1 after entering public schools before they must take state achievement tests due to underperformance on these mandated exams. These state achievement tests consist of exams like the Florida Assessment in courses like math, English, and social studies. New regulations and policies like this have the intention to increase the future academic success of this group of students. Former Education Secretary Aaron Duncan granted Florida this waiver in 2015 as a solution to the recent flood of Central American students who were seen in Florida public schools. For example, Miami-Dade County added about 2,000 children to its 77,000 ELL students in the year 2015 alone. However, members of the Speech Association did argue that the new 2-year time span for recently immigrated students puts them in danger of falling behind even more. These individuals argue that since all students are provided with multiple opportunities to take these state achievement tests and receive a passing score, that the new 2-year time gap for recently immigrated students provides them with less opportunities than their peers to prove success on these exams in a 4-year time span throughout high school. Despite this, if these students are provided with these opportunities early on, progress on state achievement test scores is evident. As you can see, students who were taught in a 50-50 language spoken environment for 3 to 4 years fell in the 45th percentile in passing rates on high school English exams alone, whereas students who were taught in English-speaking classes only for a year or less fell in the low 12th percentile. The amount of recently immigrated students in the state of Florida is growing at a rate that many public educators did not predict would happen so rapidly. For this reason, state educators have been forced to acknowledge the educational gap that exists between ELL students and their American natives, along with attempt to find ways to extinguish this gap. These ways consist of the integration of bilingual instructors, such as teachers, administrators, and counselors, an extension in the time these students have to complete state exams, 2 years instead of 1, and the implementation of foreign language departments. Rather than continue to force these students to find their own ways of assimilating into the American education system, public educators have decided to take matters into their own hands and have begun to integrate new teaching techniques that will provide safer, personalized learning environments for this rapidly growing minority. Other states, along with Florida, will continue to implement new teaching methods that will open up doors for ELL students and provide them with the same opportunities as their English-speaking peers. These efforts will continue until each child, despite ethnicity, origin, or language spoken, are given the same chance at academic success. Thank you.
Arjun, I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, how did you handle the differing perspectives in order to reach a conclusion?
First, I tried to look at the perspectives as one and then tried to connect them as a whole in order to figure out exactly how they related and how they fit together in order to come up with a clear solution to the problem.
Right. And how did you use how did you use those conclusions and questions of others to advance your own research?
First, I constructed my own opinion over the topic, and then I began to find information that related to my opinion and decide if my opinion had sufficient enough information to back up my thesis before I changed it based on the research I found.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're done, Bree.